Welcome back to Attention Span. Today I want to show you something that sounds like science fiction, but it's very real, very live and happening right now. And though it sounds a bit crazy and kinda even wacky, but we will discuss why it might be not that crazy and why it just starts something very interesting for the robotics that are coming. I'm talking about new service that is called RentHumans.ai, and really phenomenal success because it just started days ago by crypto engineer Rentable, and in a matter of 72 hours it gained like almost 100,000 users, humans, that signed up to be rentable. And the site has received, as they showcase, nearly 1 million visits. The interesting part is, as you might already realize, that the customers are not humans. They are AI agents. And autonomous software that can now hire you, human, to do physical tasks in the real world. We will go through the process how to set up a profile, even if just out of curiosity, because, for example, I am not ready to rent out my time to agents. We will do this at the end of this video. But first, I want to put this whole thing into the historical context and demonstrate you that humans have served machines before. And that's exactly how we ended up here in 2026 with all the agents and looming over us humanoid robots. And to understand why this matters, we need to rewind 20 years to a moment that changed everything. 2025, 2027, the birth of Mechanical Turk. In 2005, Amazon launched something called Mechanical Turk. The name came from the 18th century hoax, a chess-playing automaton that was actually a person hidden inside a machine. Amazon version was the reverse. Humans hidden inside the machine of automation. Back then, early AI systems could not do basic perception tasks. They couldn't identify if a photo contained a cat, couldn't transcribe messy handwriting, couldn't understand images. So Amazon created an API where humans became human intelligent tasks, hits. Companies would send requests, label these images, transcribe this audio, identify this object. And the humans around the world, called Turkers, would complete these micro-tasks for pennies. This was the first data labeling company. So now, here's where it really gets interesting. In 2006, a computer scientist named Fei-Fei had a radical idea. At the time, the entire field of computer vision was focused on better algorithms. Researchers would compete to squeeze out tiny improvements, maybe 1–2% accuracy gains, using small data sets of a few thousand images. But Lee had a different hypothesis. What if the problem was not the algorithms? What if the problem was the data? She was inspired by how children learn. A child sees thousands of examples before they understand what a dog is. They see big dogs, small dogs, dogs in different poses, lighting conditions, contexts, scale matters. So Fei-Fei set out to build something unprecedented. A dataset would mirror the visual richness of the real world. She called it ImageNet, based on WordNet's structure of language. The goal? Over 14 million images across more than 20,000 categories. People literally thought she was crazy. For a couple of years, she tried to get attention and support from many people. They were telling her that that scale was impossible. Who would label millions of images? Mechanical Turk at that moment came as a revelation. She discovered in 2007 Amazon Mechanical Turk, and everything changed for Fei-Fei. She realized crowdsourcing could scale. Over the next 2.5 years, Lee and her team orchestrated something extraordinary. 49,000 workers from 167 countries labeling images at an average rate of 50 images per minute. 3.2 million images initially, eventually growing to over 14 million, and each image verified by multiple workers to ensure accuracy. By 2009, ImageNet was complete. In 2012, it became the largest academic user of Mechanical Turk on the planet. And here's the key insight number one. Without Mechanical Turk's human labor infrastructure, ImageNet does not exist. Without ImageNet, what happens next does not exist. So in 2010, Fei-Fei launched the ImageNet Large-Scale Visual Recognition Challenge, ILSVRC. The competition was simple. Build an algorithm that can correctly classify images into 1,000 categories. For 2 years, traditional computer vision methods slowly improved. The best systems had error rates around 25-26%. Not great, but steady progress. Then came September 30, 2012, and that changed AI forever. A team from the University of Toronto, led by Geoffrey Hinton, with students Alex Krzyzewski and Ilya Sutskever, entered a deep convolutional neural network called AlexNet. Suddenly, AlexNet's error rate 15.3%. This neural network didn't just win, it shattered the competition by over 10 percentage points, and nothing had ever made a leap like that. This was the ImageNet moment, the moment deep learning went from academic curiosity to the foundation of modern AI. Within a year, every major company pivoted to deep learning. Google acquired Hinton's startup. The AI race was officially on. So key insight number 2, the entire revolution, ChatGPT, DALL-E, self-driving cars, everything we call modern AI that is based on deep learning traces back to that moment. And that moment was enabled by 49,000 Mechanical Turk workers labeling millions of images. Now fast forward to the era of large language models. We had models that could generate text, but they couldn't understand what humans actually wanted. They'd be helpful, but sometimes toxic, accurate, but occasionally harmful, coherent, but not aligned with human values. Here comes reinforcement learning with human feedback. This is how ChatGPT was trained. You take a base model, then you bring in thousands of human contractors, many from Kenya, from Philippines, Venezuela, very low-paid workers, and you ask them to rank responses. Which answer is better? Which one is more helpful? Which one follows instructions better? So here's the key insight number 3. Again, humans weren't writing the AI. We were teaching it to see, teaching it to understand, teaching it to align it with our values. And now we arrive at February 2026, Renthuman.ai. The relationship has fundamentally flipped. For 20 years, humans hired AI to direct human labor to train AI. And now the premise is that AI is the client. AI is the requester. AI is the customer. AI is actually the one with the task list. I see the lineage from Mechanical Turk to Rentahuman, but now it's different on the scale, on the promise how the economy of human labor can be changed in this new AI and agentic world. So what does RentHuman.ai solve? It solves what researchers call embodiment problem. For all the advances in AI, language models, reasoning systems, autonomous agents that can write code and negotiate contracts, there is one fundamental limitation. AI exists in purely digital realm. AI can't walk into a building, it can't hold a physical object, it can shake someone's hand. As the website puts it, it cannot touch the grass. But we, humans, can. And until now, AI's interaction with the physical world happened through sensors, robots, or humans doing tasks manually. And what's interesting is that Rentahuman.ai turns human presence itself into an API. An AI agent managing logistics can now verify that a retail location actually exists, thanks to human. An AI handling compliance can send someone to photograph safety equipment. An AI closing real estate deals can have someone walk through a property before finalizing a transaction. It kind of blows my mind. The crazy part of it is that some people would say that from the decision makers, from supervisors, we became infrastructure. We are physical actuators in the AI world. It's absolutely true that when AI calls API on you, when AI calls Rentahuman.ai to rent you out, it doesn't think about you. It does think about the capability. But the crazy part is that someone, actually a human, might show up for that. The interest of this website demonstrated that. There's a bunch of actual profiles, people who also post their social network accounts. So you can actually check if these humans are real, and they are. Now let's go and see how to set an account if you want to be rented out by an AI. So as you might see, we've created a recursive loop. Human AI. Who's the boss? Who's the employee? The answer is it depends on the moment, on the task, and who initiated the chain. The interesting innovation is that this website uses MCP, Model Context Protocol, one API call. That's it. And AI doesn't need to understand human hiring, negotiation, contracts. It just says, I need a human at this location with these skills, and the platform handles the rest. And there are, of course, many questions to that type of service. There are questions of liability and safety. Who is responsible, AI or human? There are questions of labor and dignity. Is this the future of work? Is this okay for a human to work for AI? There are also very mundane things that are common for any startup when the platform is new, raw, and undeveloped. That is just minimal verification, and people can impersonate others and all of that. The founder, Alexander Litoplo, himself tweeted about trying to patch these issues. That platform is an experimental at this moment. But why I wanted to talk about it is because if Mechanical Turk set up the whole new world for deep learning, to unfold deep learning, we might start thinking what services like this might unfold also. This is a very important moment. And with all the other conditions and risks and all that stuff, we need to look ahead and think how this type of services can change the world of humans. It might be a first glimpse into a much larger shift. So I want to leave you with the previous thought and another thought. In 2005, Mechanical Turk was named after a fake automaton, a chess-playing machine that was really a person hidden in the box. In 2026, Rentahuman.ai is the inverse, real automatons pretending to have bodies with actual humans hidden inside their systems, acting as their hands and feet in the world. The joke has come full circle, except it's not a joke anymore. Welcome to the Meatspace layer. What do you think? Would you sign up as a rentable human? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section and let's discuss it. I think that might be a very interesting shift in this new economy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please share and like. That helps with growth and spreading the ideas and building this knowledge. Thank you so much. See you next week.